So yeah, we are in for likely the largest game shift in terms of power, in terms of emphasis, in terms of mechanic that we've ever had. Nothing comes close. Not the introduction of multicolors, not the introduction of unisons. The whole Zenkai mechanic is going to rock this game fundamentally. And I think I wanted to make a video about what that means for the average player, the competitive player. And so here we are. So yeah, moving into the video, I just want to get the normal plugs out of the way. If you haven't already, take a stop by the official Facebook group for the card game so that you can see all the official announcements and spoilers, as well as the unofficial discussion group where you can see so many topics about this game and learn so much about it just by reading. You've also got the unofficial Reddit, which is the same thing, except way more text-based, less pictures, less, well, no videos for the most part. And then if you want to take the extra step, you can join the UniX Discord. That's a place where we talk about everything, including this game. I mean, there's plenty of things outside of this game, but it's just there. There's also the UniX Facebook page. You can follow me on other social media such as Instagram, Twitter, things like that. Links will be in the description. But if you want to help me grow directly, try pressing that subscribe button and liking the video and commenting so the video can trend. That's going to go a long way. So let us get into the actual subject matter. So when new sets come out, especially with new whole mechanics, one of the first things people like to do is see how their old strategies can be pumped up with the new mechanics. And I think that while with the unisons that worked very well, you could put unisons in old decks, play the free counters, you know, things like that. With multicolors, you could add in some of the multicolored threats and change up what you're able to do. Maybe able to sneak some beans in your deck, sneak some other assets. That's always cool. But with Zenkai, I think this is the first time in a while where things are just different. Because just the Zenkai mechanic in general requires you to combo a lot more. And these combos, as we discussed before when the Zenkai mechanic was first released, can be particularly draining on your hand. So lots of these Zenkai cards will come with unisons that combo from the grave. It'll come with like just cards that allow you to combo from the drop zone. It'll come with cards that allow you to recycle cards that you've already used to reduce the strain on your hand. And that automatically is going to make it so that decks that don't have any outlets to combo without burning your hand are going to be at a disadvantage when it comes to Zenkai. You'll either need to cantrip hard like SS4, almost every single card combos and cantrips so that you can keep your hand size healthy while building your Zenkai energy, or they have cards like Pan, like unisons that just combo, or the leaders, the starter leaders that combo from the drop. So with that being said, a lot of decks automatically are not going to be able to efficiently create Zenkai energy without losing crucial cards in hand. Past that, the other issue that I personally think is a thing is that you always are going to power creep a set. With the exception of a few sets like Sand Showdown, rest in peace, is more like, most sets will power creep the previous sets. On top of power creeping the last set, this set is also intuitively better at utilizing the Zenkai mechanic, which means that it is almost a power creep on two fronts. Pound for pound, most of the decks coming out of Dawn of the Z Legends are stronger than the decks that came out before. But on top of that, they are now utilizing the Z mechanic better, which means that overall, what I'm trying to say is that if your deck is not being supported in Dawn of the Z Legends or not getting support in the Annie box, there's a very good possibility that it will not be usable moving forward. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but just do your testing. Most decks that were just top tier last set are not holding up versus SS4, versus Syn, versus Monkey Goku, or even things like Gotenks. Most decks like that came out before weren't even going to measure up well versus the likes of things like PyCon, which is not a bad deck. PyCon actually has some gas. But let's actually talk about the format in general, how it's shaping up, and move on from there. So when it comes to the meta, I definitely feel like this is a game of Foursquare and then everything else. At the top, I'm not going to get into like a long tier discussion at the top. I think it's definitely prudent to note that we have 2 decks, and I think those 2 decks are actually the starter deck, the Zenkai starter deck, the Monkey Goku, and then next to it is Red Syn. This is a bit controversial, but a lot of people do wonder whether SS4 Goku and Vegeta or Red Syn is currently the best red deck. I personally feel that when it comes to the red decks, Syn has more consistency from start to finish, and more of its cards have valid effects. I feel like SS4 has an amazing amount of burst, has decent pressure, but most of its cards are just simply there to be comboed and cantrip, and that is like, there's a lot of effects you're resolving and you feel like you're doing a lot, but in reality your best turns are the turns you're just like committing mad energy to, whereas Syn is playing the game from start to finish and only gets better as the game goes on. So when it comes to this, let's go back to the starter deck Goku. That deck is going to be able to maintain a clear flow of battle. Between being yellow and between the yellow effects in the actual deck that you're playing, you spend a lot of time tapping down resources. And this is very complementary to some of Yellow's most powerful cards, such as Power of a Super Saiyan, such as Bergamo. The deck is constantly tapping down cards, and Yellow allows you to do that even further. Past that, you're actually building quite the hand. This deck is able to amass very many cards in hand, and that's always Yellow's like shtick. When Yellow is able to cantrip with some of its best cards, then you're able to keep a constant stream of outs and threats going because you are constantly drawing with the deck. So yeah, Yellow is in a very good space in the hands of Zenkai Monkey Goku, and I don't think that's really going anywhere. The deck also not only has the ability to tap down your board to protect itself with valid floodgates and defensive moves, but it also, let it be known, it also has the ability to destroy you via Mira and Oolong, because Oolong will copy a battle card's attack or power, and Mira will swing and gain its power until the end of turn, meaning that if your opponent's at 2 life, there's a very dangerous place you can be at when your opponent has something like 6-7 energy, because essentially you're first going to get the Mira, and the Mira is going to swing and become absolutely huge, and if you do not negate Mira, that 1 energy investment, you are going to get chomped and then likely die from your 2 because you won't be able to out combo that. Now if you do counter, I don't know why I said that weird, you will likely catch the Swift Retaliation Cooler. That's a 5 energy investment for Mira, Swift Retaliation Cooler, followed by the Champa. Very strong. But then the hugest part about this, the craziest part about this, is that with the introduction of these Zenkai cards, you have Oolong, and Oolong is at a very interesting place, because Oolong only costs so much. He's a very cheap threat. He is a 1 cost 2 Zenkai energy, and he will copy the power. So what happens here now is that on 6 energy, let's say you play Mira and your opponent tries to counter you. Well, you swing with it and they try to counter you. You can now hit them with the, you can hit them with the cooler into the Champa into game. But if they for some reason were to do anything that would stop them from taking stuff, like even the battle style, let's say a black player is like, okay, well, I'm just gonna use Mass Sand and I'm going to take a single life. You can then play Oolong. Oolong is going to gain Mira's power, and you can turn Oolong sideways, and Oolong will close it for game. Or better yet, if you have 7 energy, you can potentially force through 4 damage if you have the 2 Champas. It's very destructive. So you have all of Yellow's defense, you have the ability to stop your opponent from pressuring your hand by using Yellow's effects, and then you have Oolong Greed is good, plus Mira and Champa for some of the highest double strike swings that this game can offer. It's a very bad place to be in. Going outside of that, you have Syn Shenron. Syn Shenron is a very fun deck. It's red, mind you, and red has some very good defenses. Red has become a very, very strong defensive deck. But on top of that, Syn Shenron has the ability with its boss card and some of its other cards to really, and its leader, to start really negging your battle cards. It's very hard to keep a board up against Omega, well, Syn and its Z leader, Omega Shenron. And the boss card is very, very strong. And that deck has critical pressure. That deck has triple strikes. That deck has the ability to keep your board mitigated to the point where you aren't able to press it. And that's just going to allow it to build up heavy. Combine that with the fact that the deck still has access to one of the most oppressive secret rares in the game, that being SSB Vegeta. And you were sitting at a point where Syn Shenron is able to consistently bully people out of the game. If all your stuff doesn't have barrier, you might as well not even try to keep it on the field, because Syn Shenron will eat it to pieces. Outside of that, we're going to go to the next tier. Slightly under it, you got SS4 Goku and Vegeta. I definitely think this deck is very, very good. The only things that I don't like about it is that its power comes in a predictable point. I mean, its best turn, of course, is the turn where you can drop your Gogeta SR. You can potentially Z Awaken. You can also have your secret rare come into play. But that turn is very, very, very powerful in exchange for it being very, very, very telegraphed. That being said, the deck is able to draw through a crazy amount of pieces, and in exchange for being very, very, very telegraphable, the Unison allows you to abuse one drops like Broly Crown of Retribution, to the point where playing against SS4 is not like playing any deck in the format, because you are not able to reliably count their energy and count your open energy and decide when it's okay to leave things up or not. At any time that the Unison is live, a SS4 player can +1 and crown you, meaning that against them, you can never safely leave 2 or more energy up unless you want your hand peeked at, or unless you see 4 crowns between zones that are known. And that is a very, 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 very precarious place to be in. It makes you play differently, and I think that any deck that can literally warp your concept of play as the opponent is a deck worth fearing. SS4 has great burst, and between their Unison and Crown, they can very much so get the awareness of your hand to know when to push, when to bait, and when to go in for the kill. Then my fourth deck that I'm going to put here is really Gotenks. Gotenks was always a consistency monster. It had the best 2-drop in the game in terms of Reaper, access to Cell, Zeno, and it was just able to really kind of go in there. Dormant was a very, very strong card, and the ability to use Dormant but also have block and negates now is also very strong. Now, if you want to move past that, though, this new set is giving it quite a few things. One, the Zenkai deck is actually running into the ability to have that Piccolo, which is going to fix your deck. The Fat Gotenks does things for your deck. The deck is almost perfect circle now. It has the ability to search out almost all of its pieces. It's almost impossible for that deck to brick. But on top of that, you have Faded Rivals. And I'm calling it right now, Faded Rivals is a 2-card combo that is okay now, but the moment green gets a deck that's like an 8 out of 10, Faded Rivals will feel like some of the most toxic pairing in the game for quite some time. People will complain about Faded Rivals being hit if green gets a good enough deck, because for 3 energy, you are essentially killing any battle card on the board, and then you're smoking any Unison on the board, and then you have 3 attacks minimum. But at the same time, because of the tech of the finishing Spirit Bomb Son Goku from set 3, you can evolve over the Goku and then swing and combo 3 super combos from Grave. It's a very, very strong play, and I don't think a lot of people are understanding hard enough that green is on the cusp. Green needs a better Chariot, but green just got a massive boost with Faded Rivals, and it's not, do not sleep on it. I would suggest picking up 3 and 3 just in case green ever gets busted. And that's actually kind of it. Those are the 4 I'm sitting here though, but I'm really telling you, pick up your Gamma, pick up your Trunks Vegeta, pick up any of these and try to play against these top 4 decks and watch yourself get slammed into a mattress. Like, you literally will not be able to compete in the same ways, because these decks are head and shoulders above the other decks. Now, what is this going to mean for our future? I don't know, because we're going to have Zenkai Series 2 before Nats. The format is going to shake up again, but if you were going to these events, these online tournaments, these regionals, before we get Zenkai 2, just know that these 4 decks are the decks that you're going to need to play, or you're going to need to have one heck of a strategy to try to beat, because most of the decks outside of it aren't coming. Zenkai is going to really, well, is, now that it's here, is going to shape the format in a lot of different ways, and I think it's just best that we all prepare for that, because this is not necessarily the same shift as set 9 to set 10. This is a whole new beast on its own. So thank you. I hope you guys liked the discussion. I'll be back tomorrow with another video, hopefully, and we'll see what's going on. But if you like the content, think about hitting that subscribe button. Didn't plug the normal plugs for Dr. Squatch, but the links will be in the description if you want to go there, smell great, help the environment, help your immediate environment, smell better to the people around you, pull the people you want to pull because you smell good. It goes a long way, I assure you. And thank you guys for being supportive. I will see you the next time.